So in way of introduction, I want to portray certain scenarios. And if any of them resonate with you, then perhaps you should stay till the end, if you can. If not, then you're welcome to leave because maybe it's not pertinent to you. I can't wait when the Chazan is supposed to start Vayechulu. I can't wait when the Chazan is supposed to start Chazoros Hashatz. I even start shaking my leg and going like this. I may even do this and ask him to start, even though I'm not one of the 6 Gaboim in this shul. Bichlal, I prefer a fast davening at a worse time than a longer davening at the correct time. The guy who never can't say the words fast enough and he's the chazan irks me. There's a guy in my shul when such a chazan davens for the yomit, after davening he says, Good Chodesh, because it's like a Yom Tov Dika davening. Waiting in the queue in Yesh or Osherad. Road rage with everything that it entails. People backing up, backing out, cutting you up, waiting when it's a traffic light and the guy in front of you hasn't gone within a millisecond, you're already honking. And when I honked here in Israel and my mother was in the car, she said, there's a sakana? There's a sakana? In England we hoot when there's a sakana. Here it's a knee-jerk reaction. I don't know if this is relevant to anyone here. Having a bite into the kugel at the Kiddush before sitting down. Or bichlal, waiting for Kiddush, what that does to our nefesh. Perhaps if you only have 2 or 3 showers in your home, waiting for the shower on Erev Shabbos. Or waiting for somebody to answer the phone, and you phone, and you phone, and you're waiting. Waiting for Bituach Le'omi to answer the phone. Bituach Le'omi, Bishvilcha or Bishvili, I'm not sure. Or Chevrat HaChashmal, you're allowed to listen to that song in the 9 days, I promise you. Waiting for your kid to be ready so that you can take him somewhere when you're already late. Waiting for your wife outside a simcha. Waiting for the water to boil when making pasta. Burning your tongue on the pasta because you couldn't wait for it to go cold enough. And how many times have you made a stain on your clothes because you didn't have that 2 seconds to wait and it was gone? How many times have you dropped things or broken things in your house or used the challah knife as a screwdriver because you don't have the patience to look for the screwdriver? It all happened. The whole list has happened in my house. How many times have you cut yourself in haste to cut something? How many times have you made a mistake in work or fixing things badly in your house? It's not for nothing that in the Chosn lessons they tell the men that if you don't have patience, buy rogalach on your way home from koilel or work so that you don't have house rage when you come home and the food is not ready on the table with the serviette and the knife and fork. How many times do you bang on your keyboard or your phone to get a quicker result for the send or the email to open? And how many averos do we do because we don't have patience? How many times have you torn something on Shabbos with writing because you don't have the patience to open it properly? How many times have you spoken in Kaddish because what you have to say is so urgent that you don't have the patience to wait till after Kaddish or till after Chazal Hashatz? How many times have you said a Lashon Hara because you just don't have the patience to wait? Even in mitzvahs, must tell you, I went to Reb Shimon Galai, one of the Gedolei Yisrael. And I went after davening, and after davening he was giving a shir in Mishtabura. It was just before Sukkot, and he was speaking about Hilchos Sukkah. And he said, nostalgically, I remember in the good old days in Yerushalayim, when we made a sukkah, we found a dict over here, an old door over here, and we put together the cartons and crates until we built a sukkah. Nothing like the pop-up sukkahs of nowadays. He was so happy, nostalgically remembering it. So I said, at least there's less bittul Torah nowadays. I blurted out in my impatience. So he said, you know nothing about Yiddishkeit. One of the worst days of my life, he said, was the day where my daughter brought home those ready-made candles, oil mutzak, those jelly oil wicks. Forever, I've been taking cotton wool and making the wicks and putting it in and putting the oil in and preparing candles for Shabbos. Even for mitzvahs, we don't have the patience to do them, and we're looking for the quick fix solution. So, I want to talk a little bit about savlonos today, about patience, about impatience, and just in way of introduction to test your patience, I want to read you something which doesn't help. I'm reading you an article about technology that as it gets more efficient and accessible, human beings are uncovering more opportunities to be impatient. As the Center of Humane Technology has often argued, our world of technologies has evolved to constantly stimulate and instantly reward us with content, items, and services, which has made us more impatient. Our past-faced technology environment strengthened our bond with impatience. A study, people were asked to wait for downloads and stay on hold over the phone, leaving many of them to abandon their process of waiting. A computer science professor mentioned that after examining the view habits of 6.7 million internet users in his study, subjects were only willing to wait for content to load for 2 seconds. After 5 seconds of waiting, 25% of participants had abandoned the content. After 10 seconds, half the participants were gone. People can only on average, look at a computer screen for 40 seconds before their attention is broken. 70% of teachers in elementary, middle, and high school agree that media use was hurting their students' attention span. For individuals, particularly young people, there's a risk that the shift away from engaging with detailed, complex content could lead to a shallowing of collective knowledge of understanding, etc., etc. Academically, students may struggle with complex tasks that require sustained effort and time, opting instead for easier or quicker tasks. And nobody has to be a brain surgeon to know how this is affecting the tedious Gemara learning, sitting down, pen to paper, reading small texts and Rashi and Tosfos, and trying to understand when we are so, our brains are so fried by technology. So there's a simple solution. We became impatient, so you take Ritalin, and then you take Ritalin, you can't sleep at night, so you can't sleep at night, you take melatonin, and you can't get up in the morning because you couldn't sleep at night, so you take coffee pills, and then you're fine, except that it's not going to help for your patience. And our patience has to be dealt with, and it's for us to find a solution with. The reason why this subject is pertinent to Tisha B'Av is because if Adam Arishon, Chazal tell us, would have waited another few hours until Shabbos would have come, he would have made Kiddush on those grapes, on that wine, and the world would have come to the Tikkun HaSholem. In contrast, to our benefit, Esav said, Haliteni no min ha'odim ha'odim hazeh ki oyef anochi. I need that down my gut, that now, here and now. And he lost the Bechorah forever. Yosef HaTzadik, unfortunately, Chazal tell us, if he would waited another few moments before revealing himself to his brothers, they would have had their tikkun, and we wouldn't have had the Asor Harugei Malchus that we read about today. Reuven's kiviyochel impulsive act of moving the beds to his mother's room, he was called Pachas Kamayim. Pachas Kamayim. And you know what happened because Reuven did that impulsive act without patience? He lost Kahuna and he lost Malchus. The prerequisite of being a king is Melech. Melech means you have control over your Moyach, Leiv, and Koved. That's a Melech. And if you're impulsive, then you can't be a Melech, and Reuven lost it. If Klal Yisrael at Har Sinai would have waited another half a day, 6 hours, then there wouldn't have been the Egel Azov. The Mishkan, which is the kapara for the Egel Azov, HaKadosh Baruch Hu especially waited from Chofei Kislev. Then even when it came to the Mea Miluim, they tried, they put it up, didn't work. Put it up, didn't work. Put it up, you want to give up? Patience. Patience, patience, patience. The kapara for the Egel Azov has to have a nakuda of patience inside it in order for it to be a kapara for the Chet HaEgel. Reb Chaim Brisker says, why does the Torah record all the stories that they said about Moshe Rabbeinu that were not true? And said Reb Chaim Brisker, is to show you the patience of the Gadol B'Yisrael. It's to show you the patience of Moshe Rabbeinu, who against all odds, when crazy things were being said about him, he did not lose his equilibrium. He stayed calm. Because he knew, and something that we all have to try and live with, we can't control other people's actions. We can only control our reactions. And if we can be cool, calm, and collected and patient and see it through, we'll definitely have a better life. When thinking about the subject of savlonus, of patience, there are many different types of patience that are needed, different circumstances, and they have to be dealt with differently. There are some cases of patience requirement that is just between you and the Eibishter. It's you and the Rebbeinu Shleim. You were supposed to get the bus, the train, and something happened, something got in the way, it was traffic, and it's a mess. You missed out and you're so impatient. How can that happen? And you're not on that train that had a train crash and it was Hashgacha Pratis. No, you were on the train that arrived at its destination just without you on it. No story, nothing to write into the Mishpacha magazine, nothing. A plain old annoying story of me missing an important meeting because HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want. And we have to understand that the derech of the Baal Shem Tov was, he said as following, Lochein emoy livnei Yisrael, ani Hashem. Tell the Jews, I am Hashem. I'm the Mashkiach. I arrange everything. And when you know that, v'hoitzeisi eschem, I will take you out, mitachas sivlois Mitzrayim. Homiletically explained to mean mitachas sivlois Mitzrayim. Every meitzar, every strait that you're in, every situation that's knap, that's not working out, is a meitzar. You can be taken out of sivlois Mitzrayim, of having savlonos for that, when you have a clear understanding deep in your heart that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the show. And when you understand that, and you can have a deep emunah, and we all know this, but we can all work on it and tap into it when we have such an occasion that requires tremendous savlonos to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the show. then there are cases which are between you and somebody else, but he didn't do it on purpose. When your child can't find their shoe, and shul's at 8, and it's already 8:03, and he's got all the time in the world, he's not lachatz at all, he's chilling, and you need to go to shul, because followed by shul is your chavrusa and work, and your whole day is about to go down the drain in a domino effect. So Rashi says on the pasuk, Ha'ish Moshe onov me'oid mikola odam asher al pnei ha'adama. Moshe Rabbeinu was the greatest onov. What does Rashi say? Very strange words. What's an onov? Shofal, lo, v'savlon, patience. Moshe Rabbeinu, the definition of Moshe Rabbeinu's anivos is shofal and savlon, patient. And in other words, how I would say it is, Habibi, my dear friend, you are not the center of the world. When you have to go somewhere, and your son, or your wife, or your pupil, or your colleague, or the guy in the shul, or the guy in front of you, or the guy davening for the Amud, whoever it is, and you're, come on, get on with it, my life, I have what to do with my day. Habibi, you're not the center of the world. Your child is the center of the world, the chazan is the center of the world, the guy in front of you is the center of the world. You have to get that notion. You are not the center of the world. There are things going on around you, and there's other people, other important things going on. He has yahrzeit, and he has a simcha, and it's somebody else's fault that his shoe can't be found. And once we understand that, then life is different. The Chazon Ish was asked, how did he have such tremendous patience in dealing with people? Yet there's people who it's geschmack to talk to, and there's the nudniks who have such patience. Every Rav and every Gadol has to have such patience in dealing with people who can get tiresome. And the Chazon Ish said, I'm not so good at patience, but I made a hachlota, I made a decision that until 5 times that a person asks me the same thing, I'm going to answer him patiently. 5 times. Rav Wolbe said that a person should try to have patience in his house for the first half an hour that he comes home. Hashem should give us siyata d'shmaya. Everybody knows, if you want to get married, Reb Chaim Berlin went into Reb Itzikil Volozhina before his chasna for hadracha. And he said, if you do this, you'll have a good marriage. Dalecha, no. Ki midas hasavlonus hi harishoina lechol hamidos. Savlonus is the first of all the midas that you have to have. Patience, patience, patience. If your wife says she's going out now, it's in 10 minutes. If she's finishing on the phone, it's 20 minutes. If it's coming from a chasna, it's 40 minutes. It's coming straight home after shopping. My wife once went out shopping at the beginning of our marriage. It's 11:30. It's 12 o'clock. It's 12:30 at night. I panicked. I promise you. I called up Shari Tzedek. I called up Hadassah. I called Bikur Cholim, and she wasn't pregnant. And they just can go on and on and on. And we have to have patience. Some people are quicker, and some people are just slower. Some people takes them more time to get the same thing done. And then there are people who do things purposely to annoy you. And then you have to have patience, because the Torah requires us to have patience. Because kol ha'ma'avir al midosav, ma'avirin lo al kol pshav. You have a check from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You want to have a kaparas avonos, somebody does something bad to you, and you are machzeh him toivo tachasra, instead of smashing him up and beating him up and shouting and screaming at him that he may deserve, you're just going to be calm. And you're going to take a step back and say, it's min hashamayim, and I can deal with it. And anyway, he has issues probably, and Baruch Hashem, I don't have his issues, and I can deal with it. The first midah of the Yud Gimel Midas of Rachmim is mi kel kamoicha. Oiver apesha mi kel kamoicha. And the Tomer Devorah says something revolutionary. We all know that when Klal Yisrael did the Cheto Egel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or one of the other Averos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave a present to Klal Yisrael. The Yud Gimel Midas of Rachmim. And Hashem says, Asei lefonai kasei dehazeh, do this, v'ani emchoi lechem, I'll be moichel you. The Ramak, Ramoshe Kordavira, the Tomer Devorah, he has a deal. It doesn't say kasei dehazeh, like we do many times, especially over Slichas Yom Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. It doesn't say Hashem Hashem. It says, Asei lefonai kasei dehazeh. Do this Seder in front of me and I'll be moichel you. So if we can get past the first one and try and do it, then we'll be in good shape to have the Mechilas Avonos of the Yud Gimel Midas Sherachnim. So he says as follows, Mi kel kamoicha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu melech ne'elov v'soivel. People embarrass him and he gets embarrassed and he takes it on the chest. And he's soivel elboy. People annoy him and he's soivel. He takes it. Ma lo yochilu rayon, in a way that you could not imagine. Ein rega shlo yeha odam nizoin umiskai mimenu. There's not a moment in our lives where we don't get our chiyus, our lifeblood, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Imkein, hari timtza. Shemei oilam lo yichota odam. It never happened that a person did an avera shlo yeh ba'oisa horega mamish shoifei hashefek kiyumai. As you eat that cheeseburger, as you say that Lashon Hara, as you do that Avera on Shabbos, whatever it is, the same time that you're purposely doing this Avera, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is injecting lifeblood into your body and giving you, what should he do? He should just press freeze. He should pull out the plug. What's he doing? I give him eyes, I give him a mouth, I give him ears. He's taking Lashon Hara, talking Lashon Hara, talking davening. Just pull the plug. I should deal with this, honestly. My kid is taking money out of my pocket and he's throwing it off the Brooklyn Bridge. What am I supposed to do? Stop giving him money. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu should say, enough's enough. Even though a person sins, Hashem lo imonu mimenu klal. Hashem doesn't take any of his limbs away from him. Ela soivel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is soivel elboim. He is patient. Umashpia hakoyach ve'heitiv lo'odam tuvoi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has got such patience with us, such everlasting patience with us. If you'll notice this year in one of the B'chol Ma'aminim, we say B'chol Ma'aminim hasoivel umalim ayin misorim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is soivel. He has patience with us. Umalim ayin. He chooses not to notice misorim for those who are going astray. So, savlonis is something that we have to work on. The problem is that you have to have patience to work on patience. You have to build your ability, your tolerance for discomfort. Get in the habit of purposely having patience, letting a car go by, letting somebody in the store in front of you, ahead of you in line. Find the fun in life. There are people, perhaps even in this room, who know how to laugh at the absurdity of a difficult situation when things are not going your way, and you can laugh it off. Some people are capable of that, and that's an avodah for us. And the benefits of patience are so huge. It prevents impulsiveness and rash decisions. Long-term goals are only achieved with patience. Patience improves your physical health. Patience enhances problem solving. Patience allows you to experience the joy of the moment. A more fulfilling, joyous life can be had by people who are patient. There's another area in life that requires patience, particularly. First of all, in our Avodas Hashem, we are all super impatient in our Avodas Hashem. I don't even mean the fact that, anyway, I listen to Shiurim on times 2 because I don't have patience to listen to the speaker. But interestingly enough, there was a big Gadol b'Yisrael called Rav Moshe Shapiro, Zecher Tzadik Devrocha. He was very pedantic about his Shiurim being recorded and written down. He was very careful. He didn't want his words to be taken out of context. When I was growing up, there was a new innovation in the world of Walkmans. For those who don't know what a Walkman is, can't explain it. It's a massive thing that you have hanging to your side with these woolly earphones. So there was a new innovation with that red light. The red light meant that it only recorded when the person was speaking. And that way, you didn't get any of the silences, and you saved time on that reel of tape, on the tape that went into the tape recorder or the Walkman. Rav Moshe Shapiro insisted not to use such tape recorders to tape his shiurim, because the silences and those pauses are powerful. And having the patience to actually sit through something, sit through a Seder, sit through a year, sit through 10 years, and then on Erev Rosh Hashanah, doing a bit of introspection, thinking, have I really grown so much? And shouldn't I know like what the other guy knows? Shouldn't I have finished Daf Yomi and Mishnah Berurah? And shouldn't I be on top of form with my Mesilas Yesharim? So many areas of life, and we have to have patience. Ezeu Oshia HaSameach B'Chelkoi, say the Svarim HaKadoshim means in Ruchnias as well. And we have to have patience with our children. We are sometimes so anxious to see the hatzlacha of our children that we cause them burnout. As Rabbi Kalish from Waterbury said, when you hold the biggest mistake, when you play baseball, I play cricket, not baseball, maybe the same din. If you want to swipe a sixer or get it out the field or whatever game you play, so when you tense up, so you tend to hold the bat tight. And the biggest yesod of baseball, which is why he said sometimes the bat flies out, it's called a bat, yeah? It flies out their hand. You think this guy's been paying $1 million a day. Why does it fly out his hand? It's such a chokhmah to know how to hold it exactly, that it has the flexibility to smash and yet hold it tight enough, because if you're holding too tight, then you can't smash as hard. And it's the same thing with chinuch of our children, that if we hold too tight and we're too pressured into thinking, we don't have the patience to see the child grow with his nisyonos at his own pace. And some are late bloomers. I was definitely one of them. And till my parents had the patience to see through my adult years and they're still watching, we have to have patience with our children if we want success with them. The other person who has patience, I'm especially going overtime to see if I have patience. The other thing that has patience, and we can learn from him, is the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara, Chazal tell us, says, Hayoim oimeloi asei kach, ulamocha asei kach. Today, do this. Tomorrow, do this. Very small increments. He gets to us. And suddenly we see in our homes that 2 years later, it's not quite the home that it was 2 years ago. 4 years later, and before you know it, or after you know it, things are quite different, but it's very, very gradual. And we can learn from the Yetzer Hara to have patience. He has patience with us to see us go down the hill. We can have patience with ourselves and with our family members to go up the hill. Time is out. I have much more to say on the subject, but I'm not going to keep you. You should all have a good summer with tremendous patience in your homes and with your families.
כמו אישה